أهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي، أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ali Younes. I'm your host today, Friday, May the 23rd, and I am excited to be back on the show after a few weeks hiatus. Although I came back on the show as a guest last week with Dr. Sahar, professor of Middle East politics in Maryland. But I'm back, and I'm glad to be back, and I'm looking forward to talk to everyone. Today we have an exciting show. I will be discussing the elections in the Arab world and democracy in the Arab world. Although this might sound as an oxymoron that there are elections and democracy in the Arab world, many people among you, including myself, are skeptical at the notion that there will be democracy in the Arab world. However, many people believe that. I want to discuss both options. I want to see is the Iraqi elections truly a measurement of democracy or the beginning of democracy in Iraq? Are the Egyptian elections an indication that Egypt finally is on track and will be a democratic, led, ironically, by a military strongman? The Algerian elections just finished off, and with the re-election of Abdelaziz Bouteflika for his third term, he's probably over 150 years old. I'm joking. He's probably in the 80s. And Lebanon is due to elect a president. So there are many issues we would like to discuss briefly. But I want to discuss mainly the elections in Iraq and Egypt. And I want to discuss with you all that. So please call me at 248-557-3300. 557-3300, area code 248. And with me on the line is Mr. Falah, Zaki. He is joining me on the phone to discuss the Iraq election. Hello, Mr. Falah. How are you?
How are you? Good morning. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I understand you are an Iraqi, originally from Iraq, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you have a thing or two or more to discuss the Iraqi elections. As you know, and as our guests, our readers, actually, I'm a writer for the Arab Daily News, so I always discuss my readers. So our listeners will know, realize, and many of them are Iraqi patriots in Michigan, Dearborn area, that Nouri al-Maliki, in the state of law bloc in the parliament, just won over 90 seats in parliament. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that represents a majority in the seats in parliament. And for many people, especially within the Shia community in Iraq, this represents a victory for the Shia community. Those who support al-Maliki, not all Shia are support al-Maliki. They're, or Sunni supports the Sunni, or Christians support Christians. But I want to discuss with you, what does the win of Nouri al-Maliki represents for Iraq today, Falah?
To be honest with you, Ali, I mean, what happened in the past 8 years was a disaster for the Iraqi people. Nothing happened, no progress.
You mean Nouri al-Maliki tenure in office? He's been in office for 8 years.
Exactly.
2 terms.
Exactly, 8 years in the office, in the power, leading the country. We don't have a president there. Even if the president there, the president does not have enough power and to judge things.
You mean Jalal Talibani, the Kurdish president, is a ceremonial office mainly in Iraq. Is not doesn't have a lot of power.
Exactly, and he's been absent, unknown reason for the last 2 years.
Well, he's been in Germany for treatment. He's been sick. He was treated in Jordan. Now he's, I think, in Germany for treatment. I think he's in the 80s. So, but go ahead.
I know. So the whole things, my opinion. I mean, according to what happened in the history, it's a show. There is no real election. It's just a political show.
Why Noor al-Maliki's tenure has been bad? Why? Is he a dictator? Is he corrupt? Is he, representing Iran, as many claim, or is he Iraqi patriot? Why he is bad in your opinion?
That's because the superpower, they want him in the office.
The superpowers mean?
The superpower, Britain, United States, and, I would have called also Iran. It's become a superpower in the region. And they want him because, he's running their interest in the area.
He's been elected by the Iraqi people with the vast majority of votes, and he obviously won a majority of votes, so quite obvious. Many Iraqis feel that Noor al-Maliki has been good to Iraq. He's been reelected.
Like I said, the election, what happened a couple of weeks ago, it's a part of the show. The show started in 2003, and this is a stage. There is no indication that Noor al-Maliki has been elected by the Iraqi people, practically. They spent $18 million to have the smart election card, and it was corrupted. They did not even use it, but they tried to have it for their interest. Second,
well, obviously, Falah, al-Maliki, the democracy in Iraq is not democracy in the West, and there are many people who are voting along sectarian, religious lines, not necessarily because they love someone's politics or for Iraq. And Noor al-Maliki, tenure, he has been accused of corruption, dictatorship, although not as bad as Saddam Hussein was, in the opinion of many people, and certainly in my opinion. But nevertheless, he used, a lot of corruption, used Iraqis' wealth to advance the interest of his party, to appoint his groups in power, and maybe to alienate the Sunni people who claim that the governing party in Iraq have alienated them, and that's why you see a lot of upheavals in Fallujah, in what the Americans call the Sunni Triangle, north of Baghdad, and all, Ramadi and Salahuddin, provinces where a lot of Sunnis reside there. So do you feel that Maliki's term in office has been sectarian? He advanced the Shia community, or his group, or Iran's group, or, like you said, America's, superpower interest in Iraq? So which one is it, in your opinion, Falah?
My opinion, he is working on the different angles, and at the same time, he's using the Shiite religion and the extremists and running the people behind him, using this methods of the religion for the Shiite. In the meantime, there is a revenge, an old revenge, by Iran to the Iraqi people because of the Iraqi-Iranian war in the past, and they have keeping the promise of Ayatollah Khomeini before he died to make this happen, and this is what's happening now. Plus, al-Maliki, he is thirsty for the power. He came from what? From nothing. What is his history? So it's a big surprise for him to be in the power in one of the powerful countries used to be in the 80s, 70s, Iraq. So this is a dream. It happened for him, and for the other.
So in other words, you're saying he's shocked because of the amount of power he has, the amount of wealth he has now, and the control he has. That corrupted him?
Not corrupting him, but it's just like I said. He was dreaming to be a general manager in one of the ministries. The guy who was a teacher. Now he is running Iraq. I mean, look at that. And he said it 3-4 years ago in Basra, one of his speeches. He says, we never let it go. The power, it's ours. We never let it go.
Who's we when he says we will never let it go? Who's we he's referring to?
He was pointing on the Shia.
Okay. So the Shia community feel that ruling Iraq is their right, and perhaps God-given right, and it is time for them to rule. Because they also claim that the Sunni has been ruling Iraq for so long, ever since Iraq got independence from Britain in the 1920s, or got created, actually, as the modern new nation state of Iraq in the 1920s after World War I. But, I don't think Iraq, when it was under the monarchy or under the militaries, Abdul Salam Arif, Abdul Karim Qasim, and later on the Ba'ath party, was ruled because of Sunnis. But if I was Sunni in Iraq, would I enjoy a lot of power as a citizen, or how would I feel as a Sunni in Iraq? Would I feel privileged because of my religious affiliation, or how would I feel as a Shia in Iraq during the past years before al-Maliki, and he says, we will never let it go, we as Shia? So how does it feel like for a Sunni in Iraq? As in power?
Well, to be honest with you, Ali, previous years before the invasion, the Iraqi people, they will live together. There is no Shia and Sunni.
Or Christian or Muslim?
Nothing, even Christian, Muslim. They practice their religion's belief every time, their Eid, whatever. But what happened after the invasion of Iraq, I was running the ZDF German television there, and practically in the street, the day they get the statue of Saddam in the front of the press center.
Yes,
in
2003.
2003. There was protesting coming from the Al-Sadoun Street, and they raised a banner says enough. Then I stopped one of them and says, what do you mean enough? And they said the revenge also, and the cleric was, he said,
Falah, there was a lot of...
the Sunni, they've been rolling Iraq for 1,400 years. That's enough.
Yeah, but see, Falah, at the time, there were a lot of high emotions in Iraq, and there was a civil war after that, and after the invasion between Shia and Sunnis in 2005, and 2006, and 2007. But now, we're dealing with a different situation. Iraqis, Shia, Sunni, Christians, Muslims, Kurds, are going to the polls to elect a prime minister, a party to govern. So the Sunnis, Ayad Alawi, who's also a Shia politician, but, a secular, more secular than al-Maliki, he won lesser seats, maybe 27 seats. The Sunni blocs got also in the 20s. Another Shia groups of Ammar al-Hakim got in the Sadrists got in the 40s. So it was, but al-Maliki came out as a clear winner of that. You follow me, Falah?
Yes.
So, but I want to hear your response after I'll take this, very short break on, is al-Maliki moving forward? Is he going to form the government of Iraq, the new government of Iraq? And you feel that, are you optimistic that Iraq will be a better place in another third term of al-Maliki in power? But after these brief messages, Falah, and I thank you for being with me. And I want to encourage our viewers in the Detroit, Michigan area to call me and discuss this very important issue on Iraq, and later on move to Libya and perhaps Algeria and Lebanon at the 248-557-3300. And I'm going to break for these messages. Thank you so much.
Dr. Al-Zuhaili specializes in diabetes and endocrinology and has been conducting research for over 12 years. Right now, there are several clinical studies actively enrolling for both adult and pediatric patients with type 2 diabetes. Under Dr. Al-Zuhaili's care, participants in the clinical research trials receive free lab work, medical procedures, medical supplies, and medications to assist in their treatment. Qualified participants are also compensated for their time and travel in addition to receiving top care for their diabetes treatment and control. The research department is equipped with experienced and friendly staff who will work to manage patient care and schedule accommodations. Please contact Al-Zuhaili Medical Consultants at 1331 Monroe Street in Dearborn. Visit alzuhailidiabetes.com and call 313-581-8903. 313-581-8903.
المحامي ستيفن لجانا، المحامي القدير في الهجرة والتجنس، يعلن افتتاحه لمكتبه الواقع في مدينة ديربون وتماما على 5300 شيفر رود. المحامي لجانا لديه خبرة طويلة في قضايا الهجرة والتجنس، قضايا الترحيل، يتعامل أيضا مع قضايا اللجوء من داخل وخارج الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وأيضا جميع أنواع الفيز. المحامي لجانا لديه مكاتب منتشرة في العديد من الولايات الأمريكية، بوسطن، نيويورك، واشنطن وميشيغان. لجميع استفساراتكم القانونية اتصلوا بالمحامي لجانا على الرقم 313-945-0022 313-945-0022. جميع الاستشارات مجانية لمستمعي صباح الخير ميشيغان.
Okay, I am back. I am Ali Younes, and our number here is 248-557-3300. I was talking to my guest, Falah Zaki, who's an expert on the Iraqi political scene and himself is a journalist. Falah, I know I understand you have to go for important business you have, but give me a minute of your time before, I'll let you go. Are you optimistic of this new election in Iraq? Do you think Iraq is going forward or backward with the election of supposedly, Nur al-Maliki will become the next prime minister of Iraq, will continue his tenure?
Well, I'm not really comfortable. Iraq is running to the more problems, shredded the communities and people. They still looking for another peaceful countries to go and to leave the country. Every month we have at least 1,000 people that got killed, kidnapped, assassinated, flooding in Abu Ghraib and surround Baghdad by the water, the Fallujah, Ramadi, Saladin, Mosul, Diyala, even Baghdad, around Baghdad, inside Baghdad, every day bombing and cars and violence, militia, kidnapping. I mean, what we expect in the future.
Yes. Falah, thank you so much for your insight. And I really appreciate you giving me the time to talk to me and to our guests. And hopefully we could talk in the future about Iraq and about the elections and democracy in the Arab world, if there's such a thing. Falah, thank you so much for calling me, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ali. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I want to, thank Falah publicly for, talking to us. I want to encourage you, the listener in Detroit, Michigan area, or anywhere you could listen to us, on air through the internet. Our number here is 248-557-3300. I was discussing with Falah Zaki, who's an Iraqi and a political expert and a journalist as well, about the situation in Iraq. He mentioned that, Iraq, obviously he was not optimistic with the elections of Nouri al-Maliki. And he mentioned that, still terrorism is still commonplace in Iraq. Bombing in Iraq still continues. Yet al-Maliki was given another shot, another chance to rule Iraq once again with 90 seats up to now, and perhaps counting, it may be less or maybe a little bit more, that gives him the chance to have another term in office. Give me a call. Let's discuss that. And also, I would like to discuss, Lebanon is on the verge of electing a new president. General Michel Suleiman term of office, is expiring or has expired almost, and the Lebanese parties have not decided on which president. Samir Jaja is running for office, and there's a blocking by another General Michel Aoun. As you know, Lebanon president has to be Maronite Christian. This is an unwritten constitution that specifies that the president of Lebanon has to be Maronite Christian, the prime minister has to be Sunni, whereas the speaker of the parliament has to be Shia. This arrangement has been in Lebanon since Lebanon became independent country from France, also in the 1920s. There was an arrangement, when France occupied Lebanon, it encouraged the Maronites to be the majority in power, who at the time the Christians were majority in Lebanon, but the demographic situation has changed ever since then. Shia and Sunnis constitute, along with the Druze, a Muslim bloc, whereas the Maronite, Orthodox, Catholics, Armenians also constitute the Christian bloc. So the division in Lebanon between Christian and Muslims, and each group has its own subdivisions and subgroups, and yet the Lebanese, typical of Lebanon, obviously, they're not agreeing on anything, and I don't think they will ever agree. I have a problem with this political system because you're not a citizen of a country, you are a citizen of a religious tribe. You are a Maronite, you are an Orthodox, you are a Shia, you are a Sunni. I think this is not compatible with the modern world, and I think Arabs should not accept this classification, as they shouldn't accept that in Iraq, being a Shia or a Sunni or a Christian, should be an Iraqi, first and foremost. It should be a Lebanese, first and foremost, regardless of your religion. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, if you're Kurdish, if you're Armenian. Just like the way here in America. I am an Arab. I am a Muslim, I am a Christian, I am a Kurdish, I am Armenian, I'm black, I'm white, I'm everything. American can be everything. And yet, it does not matter, if this country can elect a black president whose father was from Kenya and who has the middle name of Hussein. If this country can do it, I think we can do it. We have less problems. Yeah, and America obviously had many, many problems before that. And, the civil rights movement, the slavery, the discrimination, Jim Crow laws, all kind of discrimination problems. But this country, they can discuss it. You can discuss it without resorting to violence or tribal violence. So I think we could have this country as an example. How can we coexist? Israel, for example, the enemy of the majority of the Arab world and the enemy of the Palestinians, obviously. It has many, many national groups, ethnic groups, religious groups who go there and live there. And this is, the Arabs' enemy, in the minds of many of the Arab world. And yet, it shows as an example that you can be different, but you can live together. Why can't the Iraqis live together? Why over 1 million Iraqi Christians have to leave their own country to live in America, to live in Australia, to live in Europe, and leave the cradle of civilization, leave the ancestor homes. And Christianity in Iraq was there before even Islam, came to Iraq, before Iraq was an Arab country. So, and all these issues and all these problems, and the Kurds, and Shia, and Sunnis, Algeria just elected Abdelaziz Bouteflika. This is a travesty in the minds of many people. And this guy, yet once again, the third term in office, and he'll probably be 150 by the time he leaves office, if he lives in that age. Now,
Ali,
back to Egypt. I've discussed that in the shows before. Many people support the General Abdel Fattah Sisi, who resigned as the chief of the Egyptian army after he got promoted to a field marshal. You know, I'm skeptical about that.
Ali, I've got Elkeshk on the line here for you.
Yes, Mr. Abed, I'm glad you called me. I understand you're an Egyptian political scientist, and you want to discuss the Egyptian, democracy or elections, post after the military toppled the Muslim Brotherhood last year. And I want to take, your opinion on that. So go ahead and please hit me with it.
Well, let me just make a quick correction. My major was in political science. My major mostly in administration and finance.
Okay.
But very involved in the Egyptian community as well, here in the tri-state area, specifically in New York. You're making a point of in Abdel Fattah Sisi, and I consider him now as a candidate. I understand that he's a marshal and he has a military background. I think the era that the Egyptian faced after Mubarak, we will all have hope, and that hope that we will have a new president, a new era, and all the Egyptians moving in one direction, one hand, and unfortunately it didn't happen. It was a period of time that the Egyptian has...
Well, under Morsi, it didn't happen.
Right.
It didn't happen that, nothing changed in the minds of many Egyptians when the Muslim Brotherhood were in power.
That's correct. Not only changed, it's quite a unique situation that happened that divided the Egyptians. And this is unusual to the Egyptian culture and unusual to the Egyptian people because they always united. They always speak with one voice regardless. Muslim, Christian.
Egypt is unique in the Arab world. It has always been a state for thousands of years, and the Egyptian has, a special thing about Egyptian. They're more cohesive than the rest of the Arab world.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. But right. This is a period that shows some divide, and Egyptian did not like that. It's quite strange for the Egyptian people and the Egyptian culture, and like the body, something new comes into the body, and the body itself is just, for some mysterious reason.
Let me play the devil's advocate here.
Sure.
In the interest of fairness, the Muslim Brotherhood, have been in power for 1 year, okay? And many people in Egypt, and I wrote on this topic many, many times on the Huffington Post, and I'm also the editor of the Arab Daily News, www.thearabdailynews. You can see my columns there. That Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, the Gulf region pumped billions of dollars into the Egyptian media to sow all these seeds of divisions among the Egyptian people and community and society. Case in point, the fuel shortages. During Morsi, there were huge fuel shortages, and Morsi in his late speech before he got toppled in power, I think it was in April, because he was toppled in June, he mentioned it specifically, and I also work for American mainstream news organization that I am familiar with this. He mentioned that there are groups in Egypt, in the country, that control the fuel distribution system, who are loyal to Mubarak regime, and they created these shortages to create anger and to create discontent against Morsi. So Morsi himself, his supporters, and many claim that all this was manufactured to create what you are referring to as people were divided. So what do you say to that, to the claim? So there is a counterclaim on it. Do you see that, or I could be wrong?
Sure. Let me take it back again, like a couple of years ago, and I'm as one of the Egyptian, at the time that, and I'm sure there are many Egyptians like me. I did not elect Morsi. However, once he became the president, he is my president, and he's all the Egyptian president. And there are majority of people, I believe, from Egypt had hope. We're going forward that direction, and we're moving along. But he is the one who started to revert the direction of being a leader of a country to a leader of a group. And this is...
That's the claim. That's the claim. That's
a claim, because you can tell, even though from certain ways, if he was his speeches, he was not directing to the Egyptian people. He was directing to certain group. And that, personally, I honestly supported him as a president of Egypt, because after all, a president of Egypt, for the certain period of time that he is going to, help the Egyptian and move along to the old Egyptian, but he isolated certain group from others. He favored some group from others, and that was a problem.
Yeah, you have a point there, my friend Abed. You have a point there, because the Muslim Brotherhood, and I was a critic when Morsi was in power, because he did not appeal, send his message to the entire Egyptian people. They made mistakes. The Brotherhood and Morsi made big mistakes as far as created a negative perception that they are taking over power. Morsi was the head of the presidency. The Brotherhood were in control of the parliament, and also they were in control of many other levers of power. So that created a negative perception. But do you think that it was only 4 years mandate? You think the Egyptians should have waited 4 years, or instead of just having another revolution to topple him? And what about if Sisi did not succeed or appeal to the groups that were not supportive of the Brotherhood? Would the Egyptians also try to topple him, even though the army is backing him?
Let me put it that way. I think the Egyptian people have learned the lesson. The Egyptian people have the courage to go back again into the street if they don't like any of the leadership, and if the leadership is not the leadership for all the Egyptians, and they are capable of doing that. During the Mubarak regime, the fear that was inside the Egyptian has gone, and they become more smart when it comes to politics. Anytime that I'm sure that if the Sisi is the elected president, he did not follow what the all Egyptian would like to see that president doing for all Egyptians, I'm confident that the Egyptian people will back again into the street. And they will throw him out of power regardless.
But you see, Abed, we almost 100% sure. I'm saying, let's make it, to be fair, 99% sure that Sisi will be elected. Because Hamdan Sabahi, who's countering Sisi, is running for president. Hamdan Sabahi, former leftist, has a long history of being anti-Sadat, anti-Mubarak, was in the parliament, even anti the Brotherhood. Stands no chance according to the latest poll from Egypt. So we are pretty sure that Sisi will be elected. But, I want to take a break. But do you have time, Abed, to continue this interesting discussion with me for another 5-6 minutes?
It's my pleasure.
Okay. Let's break for a few commercials. I want to, and then I'll go back to Abed to discuss this topic. And feel free, please, to call me at 248-557-3300. My name is Ali Younes, and let's go for a commercial break.
Great. Thanks, Ali.
Betsy's Bridal and Formal, Michigan's largest selection of special occasion dresses. Exclusive bridal and cocktail fashions for formal engagements, proms, showers, pageants, mother of the bride and groom, and full bridal wear. Sizes 6 through 30. Betsy's has over 33 years in the bridal business. We promise you the best quality service and alterations. Betsy's Bridal and Formal is located at 6189 Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield. Call 248-669-9999. That's 248-669-9999.
New Concept Product and Design، رائدة إعداد وتجهيز المطاعم والمطابخ بالمعدات بشكل كامل، غرف التبريد والثلاجات. يمكننا مساعدتكم في الحصول على التمويل اللازم لمشروعكم، وكذا الحصول على الإجازات اللازمة من الدوائر الصحية. نخدمكم بخبرة 25 عاما. ناجي عبود صديقكم الدائم. للاتصال الهاتف رقم 248-442-9292 248-442 وتماما على 33900 West 8 Mile Farmington Hills. للمزيد من التفاصيل زيارة الموقع الإلكتروني www.nuconceptproducts.com.
And welcome back. My name is Ali Younes, and I am discussing the Egyptian elections with our friend and guest from New York region, Abed. Abed, before we went to a break, we were saying that, Sisi, the Egyptian people have learned the lesson, and if they did not like the policies of Sisi or their economic situation did not improve, they will go down to the street. Do you really believe that the Egyptian people will go down to the streets, given that Sisi has a strong base within the Egyptian people, and although there are many oppositions, April 6 movement, and I'd rather the Constitutional Party, I'd rather they left Egypt. The Constitutional Party is now supporting the other candidate, Hamdan Sabahi, but Sisi has the army, supporting him. He is the army, the representative of the Egyptian army. But do you really believe the Egyptian people will go down to the streets if things did not go their way?
I do believe so, and just, and make it clear. But also I have to be realistic and make a quick comparison. When Morsi came in power, he promised the Egyptian people of, the moving the world around Egypt in a certain period of time, okay? And that's, after that period of time, it was like the death penalty for himself, okay? With the Sisi, I think he's putting the facts together and being more realistic, regardless of the army background that he has and the support of the army. And this is something that, as long as he lays out all the facts to the Egyptian people and pertains into the economics, the education, the healthcare, the infrastructure for Egypt, and also work. I mean, he's not going to change Egypt because he's one man, who would be able to do that.
And no one can change Egypt, to be quite honest with you, Abed. No one can. If Prophet Muhammad came back tomorrow from the dead, from Mecca or Medina, to rule Egypt, he will fail, because Egypt, under 30 years of Mubarak, another 10 years of Sadat, and the past 40, 50 years, Egypt is a big pile of rubble economically, and politically. These governments did not really, you have 40% illiteracy rate, 90 million people. Economically speaking, they produce less than 7 million Israelis. So the total GDP of Egypt is less than the total GDP of Israel. A very small country, very small population compared to Egypt. Over 250 billion, total GDP of Israel compared to 240-some billion for Egypt. So I know Sisi will not create miracles, but would the Egyptian people be realistic as far as Sisi's goals in improving their economic situation, in education, in healthcare, in defense, all that? So do you think that the Egyptian people will be, like you said, realistic, and Egypt will not change overnight?
I think I would like them to be realistic too, and I would like to see something from him too as well. I mean, I would like to see a long-term plan and a short-term plan. And when I say long-term plan, I'm talking about long-term, 15, 20 years long-term plan for Egypt, and a short-term plan would be 3 to 5 years short-term plan that fits with the long-term plan of the 15 to 20 years plan. And I would like to see that happening from Sisi and his administration, and the people will advise him the best way of handling that. And as long as every year that he reached the goals to the short-term plan that fits in the long-term plan, it could be modified and lay the facts, to the Egyptian. However, I'm not expecting him that he would be there for 15, 20 years. I'm expecting the plan would be there regardless.
We'll hope another 20, 30 years of Sisi, and that will be something to discuss.
Ali, I've got a caller on the line. Not to cut you off there.
Okay, yeah, let's take the caller. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, good morning, Ali, and good morning to your guest from New York. This is Sami Al-Hadi, and I just want to jump into the discussion with 2 points. Number one is about the Egyptian army. It's like a huge corporation or a huge institute that always been supported the Egyptian will. And it's not about that the army is supporting Field Marshal Sisi or not. It's about as long as he had the support of the people will give him some time. But they are not going to be patient with him for 4 years to see some results and feel the achievements.
The Egyptian people, and I'm doing this to Abed as well, did not give this opportunity, this realism to Morsi. Why didn't they say, well, let's give him a chance, you know?
Yeah, here's the difference. Number one, Morsi have been given the time. Morsi take 1 year. Morsi had been divided the Egyptian by putting all his tribe and partner from the Muslim Brotherhood in all the important positions in the Egyptian government. And from until November 27, when he declared the constitutional announcement, all the Egyptian was supporting Morsi. And when he seized power to himself and took over all the constitutions and tried to fire the Attorney General in a different way that is not allowed by law, this is where the Egyptians put some objections.
He the Attorney General put his man in there. He appointed Sisi as head of the General Army. Obviously, Sisi was not the Muslim Brotherhood guy. We know that now. And he
he did not point. He did not point General Sisi. General Sisi had been appointed by the Supreme Council of the Army. And this is a traditional that have been happening since even Mubarak days. However, just one thing I'd like to conclude with. We cannot compare the Egyptian democracy, which is like 2 years old, with the American or the Western democracy, which has foundations and institutions that can protect it. So we cannot compare Egypt and say, well, let the Muslim Brotherhood control Egypt and for 4 years, and we'll see after that. No, it's not going to happen like this. After 4 years, if the Muslim Brotherhood stays in power, they will destroy Egypt.
Well, I understand your point, and I totally respect that. But, in the interest of fairness, we have to advance the counter-argument. And there's no one from the Muslim Brotherhood or those who are supporting here to discuss this point. So I have to play that part. But do we allow the military to control the Egyptian politics then?
No. But there is one point, Ali, that I would like to make is really important. Anyone comes, even though CEOs comes or presidents of companies, that they come and just the logistic of how they conduct business, and politics somehow becomes business. Any new president usually gets familiar with the area and work with the people surrounding him until he's becoming familiar to serve the community of this group. Let's say the community of the people, the Egyptian people, and he has that power somehow. So as he's making the changes that fits with the Egyptian people, that with their approval, I think it would, even though the army behind anyone, the army will fail because the people's choice. But what he did, let me explain. But what he did, Morsi, there, it was he did things against people, and that's why the army stands next to the people, not next to the administration, and that's quite different.
That's a fair point. But let me ask you this. Okay. Earlier in this month, I was in Bahrain attending a conference. I interviewed Sheikh Al-Azhar. I interviewed the Egyptian Minister of Religious Affairs, Al-Waqf Al-Islami, in Egypt. And they both made a huge point to me. They said the Muslim Brotherhood were exclusionary group. They alienated many of the Egyptian people. And the minister, and this you can see my article in the Arab Daily News, www.thearabdailynews.com, I quoted him saying the Muslim Brotherhood, and this is Al-Azhar guy, the minister, saying the Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. He said we are against we are against Islam ruling Egypt. We want separation of Islam and state. No Muslim groups. So that's his very, very strong point. Many people agree with that. Many people disagree with that. But what makes that right? From a perspective of the counterpoint, what makes that right? Why should I elect, Sisi or the military? Why? Tell me why.
Well, I cannot speak, on his behalf, but all I know, myself as an Egyptian, okay, anyone that kills or attacks Egyptian or a soldier who protects the land of Egypt for the best interest of the Egyptian against any outside attacks, to me, is a terrorist. To me, as a person here, as an Egyptian, so whoever is doing that is a terrorist. Whoever, and regardless who that person is, if it's an Islamic military group, or is it a person, just a citizen, an ordinary person, or just
Sammy,
a militant.
Sammy, are you still with us?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm still here.
So you guys are saying that indirectly that the Muslim Brotherhood was, has killed, or conspired to kill Egyptian soldiers. Obviously, you are referring to the incidents in Sinai with the terrorist groups there, that the Muslim Brotherhood were, conspired with these groups, especially that Bilkagi, a Muslim Brotherhood leader, said, if written, that Egypt will engulf in a sea of blood if, the Muslim Brotherhood comes from power. Is this the point that y'all trying to make, as far as the Brotherhood? Or Morsi when he was in power?
Okay. The history of the Muslim Brotherhood as a political group started as like this in 1928 from the day that they start creating their militia. The Muslim Brotherhood is a military terrorism group.
But they were created to fight the British occupation of Egypt, Sammy.
No. Let me just remind you about something in the history. The first donation, Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, got to establish his group was 500 Egyptian pounds from the British ambassador at Egypt. And this is something documented. I'm not claiming. This is something in their history.
For what purpose?
Yet, Muslim Brotherhood played like a very political and smart game. The on side fighting the authority, and the other side they are dealing with the authority to serve their purposes. Back to elections in 2005, the parliament election in Egypt, Morsi himself said, we are not going to be put any candidates against Ahmadaz and the chief of the secretary of Mubarak, I cannot remember his name, because those are samples of the country. Zakaria Azmi, So those are the samples of the country. So all the time, the Muslim Brotherhood have been working with Mubarak regime to serve their power and to share the cake, of the Egyptian authority and the Egyptian will and control the Egyptian for different reasons. Mubarak to stay in power and for them to stay on top of people by ruling them on the name of the religion.
I mean, you are right. The Muslim Brotherhood behaved like any political group, like any organization. They played both ends of the game. And, but I want to just make my brief stab in history. The Muslim Brotherhood also fought the British in Palestine in 1948. They fought the British and they fought also the monarchy in Egypt. So they both played, all games. They supported Mubarak. They were, against
Ali,
Mubarak.
I mean, they can fight foreigner, and we're all with them. They can fight the Israelis. We are with them for the occupied land. We are with them. They can fight any.
They became a part of the
anyone
picture.
coming over to conquer
alone.
any part of Egypt, but fighting Egyptian with an N, that's a problem. You cannot fight your brother. But here's the thing. I mean, you're trying to make a point that why they were doing this in 1928, or as these trying to fighting, they were fighting in the certain principle and the fighting the occupation.
But also, look, you mentioned a great point, but also, I have to play the devil advocate here.
Sure.
But also, the great numbers of them has been killed in Rabaa. Their supporters are in jail.
We're still debating about this number. There is no final report about this number until this point.
These are Egyptian.
And some of them are like heavily armed. You can see some of the pictures in the movie. They have checkpoints and they have military. And here in the United States, you cannot in the United States, you cannot just occupy the streets. And we all remember
Ali,
what happened in New York.
I'm not, and as I'm talking here personally, I'm against killing only Egyptians, regardless, even though with Rabaa Adawiya, wherever it's happening.
Gentlemen, I just want to say a point. The Muslim Brotherhood, they are Egyptians as well. Let's not forget that.
Absolutely.
Moving forward,
no one is forgetting this. Everyone is supporting this, as long as they are not carrying the arm.
Moving forward, both of you, Sami and Abed, do you support the Muslim Brotherhood to be allowed to participate in the political process, for their supporters to be released from jail?
I do under two conditions. Right. Number one, drop the arm and declare apology to the Egyptian people on all this bloodshed. Number two, be a part of the society just as a political group with no mention or usage or abusing of the religion. You are a political figures or a party, act like this. Stay away from religion. Under those two conditions, they are welcome as any other Egyptians.
Okay. Well, I just want to mention that the Egyptian laws have changed. Do not allow religion to be part of the group. The Muslim Brotherhood now is illegal in Egypt and in Saudi Arabia and many Arab countries. I just want to plug that in. So, but both of you support, Abed, I don't know if you agree with Sammy's statement that, you support the Muslim Brotherhood inclusion back into the Egyptian society under the two conditions that they drop religion, and they can't use religion anyway. They are illegal entity now, and to apologize to the Egyptian people. Does this sound realistic to you, or this is something that is doable by the Brotherhood?
The Egyptian society welcomes anyone, regardless the background, the religion, whatsoever, that to participate in the political arena with only one condition: they cannot have the religious hat on top of it. If they participate as citizens of Egypt, I am sure the citizens of Egypt can participate in the political arena. Let me make one more statement here. It's really important because I think it's really, one thing is happening now, quite unique in the Egyptian life. The participation of the Egyptian for the presidential election, quite overwhelming for the people, the expats, all over the world. It appears to me the Egyptian people would like to make a statement to the whole world about that the Egyptian, when they would like to change, they would change, and they're capable to do so. So the statement there is by the Egyptian people, with the power of the Egyptian people, and for the Egyptian people. And that is the principle of democracy.
That's a great point, Abed. Can you hang on, you and Sammy, for a second? I need to take the last commercial break. I think we still have just about under 10 minutes, but I think we need to take commercial break. Can you guys hang out for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Continue this debate.
Sure, happy to.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's break.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
If you get into a car accident, how will you pick up the pieces when you can't work, when the bills pile up? Who will help you? Call 866-YOUR-RIGHTS.
I called Jumana. She took care of everything. My medical bills, lost wages, and even a large settlement.
I am Jumana Kiruz, and I assure you that my team will not stop until you get the most for your rights.
If you've been in a car accident, call Jumana. 866-YOUR-RIGHTS.
And welcome back. This is Ali Younes. I'm on the phone discussing the Egyptian politics in a really nicely heated conversation with Abed Kishk from the tri-state area in New York region. And Sammy, I believe he's from Detroit area, Dearborn. Am I correct, Sammy?
Yes.
Yes, and I really want to thank you guys. It's quite informative and with strong opinions, and that's what we need to discuss. I think if we continue discussing our problems, whether pro and cons, agree or disagree, I think we'll be in a better place instead of resorting to violence. And I think for Arab Americans as well, we need to learn how to discuss our problems and be friends at the same time, regardless of which side of the political aisle that you side with. And back to the Egyptian discussion, and I hope that next week we talk, or the week after that we'll know who is the president of Egypt and who is the president of Lebanon, and whether Nouri al-Maliki is the prime minister of Iraq or not. Libya is one country or several countries with Khalifa Haftar, who I interviewed with, him yesterday on my other job with the U.S. mainstream organization. Not me personally, but I was part of the interview. We'll find out all these next week. But I'm back now is strong opinions against the Muslim Brotherhood. Sami is saying that the Brotherhood will come back to the fold, Egyptian fold, if they apologize to the Egyptian people.
Yes.
They relinquish arms or militarism. And Abed saying the Egyptian people will make the right choice. They will come together. They will forgive, and the Egyptian family will come along and become one family all over again. This is quite lofty and gross.
I want to just add something real quick about this. I said those two conditions because I know for fact and for sure that their culture, their mindset, built on that the loyalty to the group is more important than the loyalty of the country. They don't have in their background, in their methods, and they don't have the concept of nationalism. They have the concept of the group and the region, and this is why the Muslim Brotherhood always play two sides of the game, being a part of the system and be against the system by using the youth and using the education. They've been smart on this, and I know for sure they will not drop the principle of the loyalty of the group for the loyalty of the citizen and the country.
Well, Abed, what do you say? You said the Egyptian Brotherhood, played both games. They are pro and con. They were with Mubarak and against Mubarak, with the revolution and against the revolution. Because at the end of the day, what Sami is saying is that they want the best interest and the highest interest of their group, the Muslim Brotherhood, their ideology of maybe.
I believe they played it very well during the Mubarak regime, and they played at one point low key to a point that when the opportunity rised up to them, they took advantage of the opportunity. They were very well organized, and they were the only group that was very well organized, even though the revolution originally came from the Egyptian youth who would like to change the life to a better life for the better of the Egyptian young people. And before that, the Muslim Brotherhood group played along with the Mubarak regime, and there were some trades there going back and forth. And up until Morsi took power, there were also some deals that's going on between the council for the military and them as well. So here comes to the point. The point is that whatever trades, whatever agreement, whatever sacrifice that the Egyptian people have gone through, and it's on the price of the Egyptian people. And the Egyptian people refused that. And that's why the Egyptian people had that move on June 30 and July 3rd when the military stands by them. So now the Egyptian people do not want to pay the price anymore. The Egyptian people would like transparency as much as possibly could be.
Oh, we got less than a minute, guys, here.
Okay. Yeah, I am under a minute, but under a minute. Just allow me to close. And Sami, I really appreciate your opinions, and I thank you so much. And I hope you join me again with your wonderful thoughts. And Abed, I hope we talk again. I hope we can plug you on the show more often to express your views. And hopefully next time we talk, we'll see what Sisi is doing, and you can tell me your opinion. You agree or disagree. And so. Same as you, Abed, and I want to thank my listeners for listening to me. My name is Ali Younes, and I hope to see you next week and the week after that. Let's discuss who's the president of Lebanon, who's the prime minister of Iraq, and who's the next president of Egypt. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and I have to say this. I know Sisi is not going to do a miracle without the Egyptian people. All the Egyptian people combined will be able to help. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Abed. I appreciate the last plug. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll talk in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.